So good morning everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of My Currency Transfer TV. At some point, most of us need to transfer money abroad or we're jetting overseas, and there's a need to buy foreign currency. Today we're going to discuss how to use a currency converter like a pro. Done right, they can be your best friend and they can help you save money. Not using one at all, or I guess worse still, using it in the wrong way, can be, terrible and leave you out of pocket. So, here are our 5 top tips for using a currency converter like a pro. The first is benchmark against the rate you are offered. That's the golden rule. You will never get the rate that you see on a currency converter. Golden rule number 1. Let's say you need to make a British pound to euro currency transfer. You may be buying a property abroad or studying. For whatever reason, you're sending money abroad or you're buying holiday cash. The rates you see on a reputable currency converter are the official interbank exchange rates. Holiday money and international money transfer rates are not reflected in these prices as they vary so wildly. So, a currency converter serves the purpose of benchmarking against the rate you're offered. It essentially tells you the true cost of currency conversion and how cheap or expensive that GBP to USD or USD to EUR transfer was. It's also worthwhile when you are making that payment to have on your screen the currency converter just as you're about to transact. If you're on the telephone, sending money abroad with a broker, or you're an airport bureau, it can also be a great way to haggle on the rate you're offered. The more that provider knows that you're savvy about the exchange rates, the sharper their pricing will be, particularly if there is scope to negotiate. One thing to really be aware of with currency converters is spammy ones. Sorry, my writing is terrible there, but spammy ones really only update once a day or even every other day. So don't be fooled if you see an abnormally good exchange rate. It could be a currency converter that hasn't been updated for a while. Always check when that currency converter was last updated, and because essentially currency fluctuations can move many percentage points in a small sort of time period. So you've got to have a currency converter that's reputable, reliable, you trust, and one that updates frequently. The developers here at MyCurrencyTransfer and our design team and even our commercial team are actually working on a major project at the moment, which will give us the ability to show you interbank exchange rates plus a number of other funky tools. So number 1, benchmark against the rate that's offered. Number 2, use interbank markup tools. As I said, we are developing this currency converter at the moment that lets you actually use the base interbank exchange rate data and then lets you add a custom percentage markup on top. So just running through these, typically first of all, you could really forecast that between 0.5 to 1% is the average money transfer markup. So moving on from that, around 2% is the average ATM markup. Moving on from that once again, 3% is your typical credit card markup. Around 5% would be the high street if you're exchanging cash and buying holiday money, and around 10%, the worst of the worst, would be the airport bureau markup. I apologize, viewers, if I've just jumped off the screen, then apologies, but here I am once again. So essentially, there are currency converters out there where you can do GBP to USD 10,000, and then you can add like 1% or 2%, and the figure over here would reflect the markup that's added. Because again, you're never going to get the true exchange rates. So interbank markup tools are really useful. Number 3, use historical rates and charts to gauge actually when to transfer money. This is something that I've personally studied a lot, and most professional traders and brokers out there, they believe quite rightly, I guess, that charts and associated patterns actually allow you to get that extra edge when you determine when to transact, and obviously give great information on how currencies are fluctuating. These will give you sort of great guidance and just background information once again, where you can sort of zone in on the short-term and long-term performance of a couple of currency pairings that you're most interested in. So a top tip from us is when you are sending large amounts of money abroad, check in on the historical rates, because it is a great gauge on actually when to sort of transfer, particularly if you've got time on your side. And then when you're speaking to a broker over the phone, once again, back to my initial point, not only will you actually appear more professional, well-versed and more savvy in the world of currency exchange, it may actually lead to sharper pricing on the phone. The more you appear to know what you're talking about when you're transacting on the phone, that invariably the better the exchange rates will be. Again, if you're transacting online and if you've got time, have charts in front of you to sort of give you that extra edge. But you can always speak to a broker to get more information. So that's the third way that using a currency converter can be really, really valuable. The fourth is actually, it can be used to explore where to visit on holiday. You might be going short haul, long haul, or even contemplating a staycation and staying at home. For many, that is a key question in terms of, where to go when you're in the planning and more discovery phase. A currency converter can be a really tidy tool to, I guess, decide where to visit. For example, I know from, my personal background, and as you know, we've got an office in Tel Aviv. You could get 8 shekels to the pound, a few years ago. Now it's hovering around the 5.70 level. Once again, with America, we all remember the time where, you got way more bang for your buck when shopping in America, whether it's a weekend in New York or whatever it may be. So really look at sort of, the rates over a 1 month, 3 month, 12-month period, and these kind of data mining exercises that you can do to compare rates will actually tell you where you get more mileage for your pounds or whatever your base currency is. It's a really good way to start planning your budget abroad and actually understand potentially how much money you need to take with you. So it's great in that regard. And lastly, related to holiday, currency converters are a good way to, I guess, use on the fly. When you're at a restaurant or at a bar or wherever it may be abroad, a currency converter can actually come with you on the fly through, an app on your smartphone or mobile device. So when next time you're in that shopping center, abroad, wherever it may be, just whip out the currency exchange app. Obviously, make sure you've got the settings right so you're not being charged a huge amount in terms of data roaming costs. But you can check the true cost of that purchase abroad. Money is money. At the end of the day, we're all very frivolous abroad. But holiday cash, it's boring me saying it, but it shouldn't be seen as play money. We've actually got an app in the App Store. You could check out MyTravel Buddy, which actually lets you compare rates and at the same time helps you budget while you're abroad. We've got a few nice budgeting tools. So I really hope you enjoyed today's episode of My Currency Transfer TV. It was all about how to use a currency converter like a pro. If you've got any questions, we absolutely love feedback. Don't hesitate to tweet me at Dan_currency. Send me an email. I'm on Daniel@MyCurrencyTransfer.com. And we are really looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you.